So where, I shouldn't say good morning, where are we in the world, Geunther, and what time is it where you are?
It's early afternoon. It's 1:30 in the afternoon, and I'm in Monza. But this weekend, she's got the Monza Grand Prix in Formula One.
Obviously, a really, really big race across the sport. I imagine it's a little more special for you as well. If you could just talk about the week that Monza is. I mean, again, there are these kind of tentpole events in the sport. Obviously, Monaco, I think, is the one that people probably think of first and foremost. But just how special is Monza to you as well?
Yeah, Monza especially is one of the historic Grand Prix, let's call it, and the high speed of this racetrack is the fastest racetrack of the year where we go to. Because the top speed is very high and there's very few corners, and it's the last race in Europe as well. So all the European fans try to come here before we move to Asia and the Americas and the Middle East. So a lot of people here, and always the Tifosi. I think you guys know Monza is the home of the Ferrari Tifosi, so we will see a sea of red here, and hopefully Ferrari can pull something up for them to make them happy, so they go away happy on Sunday night.
You've got obviously a special connection to this country itself. Do you usually feel like this one has a little bit more for you personally? Do you get more up for the Italian heritage that you do have, and you do you celebrate that? But this is a competition this weekend. But does this feel a little bit more special for you personally?
Yeah, it's special. I mean, Monza, I'm Italian. I'm born in Italy, and obviously I moved to the States. No, it's special. It's the closest race to where I come from, and I go actually back to my home place on Monday, so it is special. But on the other side, I forgot to mention this one before, that is my home race, because people give me a lot of home races these days. We have got 2 Italian Grand Prix. We have got 3 Grand Prix in the States, because I've got American citizenship as well. And then, I'm very close to Austria, so they say that's my home Grand Prix as well. So I completely forgot about that. But no, Monza is that one which is closest to my home place.
That's funny. Talking to Guenther Steiner, team principal for Haas Formula One team. How do you, or maybe I shouldn't phrase it that way, do you feel like there's been a change in the sport? I mean, obviously we know that the Netflix series Drive to Survive brought in a lot of new eyeballs, but I don't know for somebody like you if that even registers. I mean, you're at the track every week. It's packed long before Netflix had a TV show about you guys. How do you feel like the Netflix and maybe the new fans brought in, has it changed the feel around the sport at all for you?
Yeah, it has changed a lot. I think the sport has moved in a very good and in a better place than it was maybe 5-10 years ago. And not that it was bad before, it was always nice, but now it opened, we have got a lot more young fans coming to the races and watching the races, having interest in what we are doing, because I think, obviously I'm biased maybe, it's a cool sport, but we attract a lot of a younger fan base. I mean, the enthusiasm they bring to the event, it's quite amazing, and it has changed. I really can feel it. I'm doing this a long time, and it was always a popular sport, but now it has become very trendy for young people as well, which is just good for us, because we without the fans are nothing. We love our fans, and hope they love us as much as we love them.
Oh, they certainly do, especially here. You are definitely one of the favorites in Canada, and I know a lot of our listeners are excited to hear you on our airwaves. And I wonder for you, because, well, we're here to also talk about your new book, Surviving to Drive. Came out at the end of last month. First month on the shelves, New York Times bestseller. Clearly, you found a thing to do when you do retire one day down the road, just be a writer. But being able to give a different perspective, being able to open up and really get into what it's like behind the scenes. Were you maybe inspired by the way that fan base did react to the Netflix series, how much of an appetite there was for learning more about this sport that kind of blew up in a sense? Was that part of the reason that you wanted to write this book?
Yeah, I would say I was approached to write this a book, and at the time I wasn't really thinking about writing a book, but I was approached by somebody, and I was like, I'm not going to write a biography, or a technical book. And in the first instance, I declined. I said, no, I pass on this one. And then the guys kept in touch with me, and then it came out. I said, if we do something, we need to do something new, let's call it. Then for sure it was, I think, inspired by the Netflix series, but I said it needs to be a book that the people which read it, they have fun reading it, that they don't need to be the super fans of Formula One, but even somebody who doesn't watch F1 should be entertained by it, should get something out of it, a little bit of knowledge of F1 and had a good time reading it. That was the aim of it. And I think we achieved that one.
So what did you learn personally in the process? Like, does it give you a different reflection when you're starting to write and take the readers through an entire Formula One season behind the scenes? Like, was there something you took from it that maybe in the moment you weren't appreciating or understanding the hardships of an entire season in F1?
Well, what I took away is, when you live this life like I'm living, we are living, I'm not the only one which is doing this, obviously. So it's like, because you're just always keep on going, and I'm doing this racing car since 1986, so you always think this is normality. And then when you speak with people afterwards and they tell you, oh, this was cool, I never imagined this one. When you do it yourself, it's because you're in your normal world. This is the daily grind, what you have to fight, what you have to do, and then people tell you that this is not normal. You just realize it then when you think about it, and that was the most revealing to me, how unnormal my normality is to other people.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to put it. And it is funny when you get outside of your own bubble. It feels so normal to you. And I think that goes for kind of anybody in any walk of life. It can feel really just, I go through the motions. But if somebody's not used to that world and they get a peek behind the curtain, it's certainly interesting. Just looking back on the perception of the team, I think somebody looking on the outside who maybe before they had watched the Netflix show, or if they were just had a passing interest in F1, they would see Haas, and maybe it's not a team that's that compelling to them, but I think the story that you guys were able to tell across the series or the seasons of Drive to Survive, I think, in a sport that has so much money and it rules the day, and we see how much the drivers make, and I'm not begrudging any of them or you guys, the team principals. You all should lead a great life financially, but in a world where money is just thrown around everywhere, I think a lot of people found themselves kind of drawn to Haas, and because of your story of the, I don't want to paint it as financial hardships, but there were obviously budgetary constraints with your team. What did you feel like people were kind of warming up to you because of that? It was a little bit of an everyman team in a sport that doesn't necessarily feel that way. Do you understand what I'm saying, Geunther?
Yeah, absolutely. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, you can see that, and people see is that where we are fighting. There is as much hard work going in with the big teams which are fighting at the top of the sport, but. It also makes understand how difficult and how complex Formula One is as a new team. I mean, we are in the sport. We are still the youngest team in Formula One, as you may know. We are in our 8th season now, and the next youngest team maybe it's 25 years older than us. So it's not only money; it's also just being here. It's a grind that you get respected, that you move up there, and it takes time because there was a lot of teams in Formula One, but a lot of teams didn't make it, and we are here in our 8th season. Are we the best team? Maybe not, but are we a strong team? I would say yes, and we are here to stay, and people see that this is not an easy sport, because the dumbest person in F1 is pretty intelligent, It's you're fighting a very stiff competition here. So, and I think people see that, and obviously when you come in new, you have to build up all your capabilities and also your finances and all that stuff. So, but it's for sure a lot of people, I would say, almost feel for you how much the whole team is pushing to get there where the other ones are, and we will get there.
So you're through 14 races this season. You showed some progress last year, but definitely you struggled a little bit to find the footing that you've probably projected for your team this year. So you just came back from summer break last week in the Netherlands. Maybe it's a good time for a reset for everybody. So what goals would you have, or are you setting for your team for the second half of the season ahead?
Yes, you rightly said. I mean, we started off strong, and then we didn't make progress, and everybody else did. So we came back, and we made a few changes in the team coming back. I had time to think about what we need to do moving forward, that we get stronger, hopefully this year, but at least next year. We made some changes. We will bring some upgrades later on in the season. And they're not only for the short term to make this car better, but it's changing a little bit the way how our car will look and hopefully perform. and but also mainly to get ready for next year. It's already, we are full into next year now, and we need to get ready. So in the moment, the next races, we try to get the best out of the package we have got now, of the car we are using now, and then we will bring some upgrades and try to tune that one in, and hopefully we can get it done.
How important is it for F1, the kind of health of the sport or the continued growth of the sport, to continue to grow in North America and I guess the United States specifically? I mean, we know the Miami Grand Prix, it's a newer event they brought in that had a ton of, honestly, it had you can feel free to tell me this is ridiculous what I'm saying. It felt like our version of Monaco over here. It was very sexy. There were a lot of celebrities around. How important is it for F1 as a sport to kind of have a foothold in the States? And I know they have the race in Austin as well, not just the one in Miami.
No, it's very important because it's growing so much. But in the moment, 3 races, I think for the short term, it's enough. We need to stabilize, and I think we are doing that one this year. Obviously, Las Vegas is on the calendar later on in the year. But as you say, Miami, it's again special. But what is happening now in Formula One? Every race has got its particularity. Miami, as you say, it's the American version of Monaco. It's Miami. You guys know how Miami is. Miami, likes to party, to live, and gives all that good stuff. While Austin, a fantastic event, that is more for the race fans. They put a good show on. They have got good concerts. It's just a different vibe because in Las Vegas, I mean, you all know Las Vegas. That will be a different planet with going down the strip with that one car. So. But I think the good thing in F1 in the moment is they've got next year 24 races, but they're very different between them. So it's not like a cooker cutty, We have one race and everything looks the same. No, every race has its speciality. I mean, week in, week out, we see something different. And I think that's what it makes interesting and appealing to the fans, that they always can look at something new and different, and that I think it's in general. At one, there's always something happening. If it isn't anything good, there's for sure something bad happening. People can talk about.
How excited are you and the team, and I guess even just F1 in general, to get to Las Vegas? It'll be the debut of the new race. It's the second last one of the calendar down in November. As you mentioned, every race has something special, but not many times do you get to shut down the Las Vegas Strip and race around in front of hundreds of thousands of fans. That one must be one you've circled on the calendar.
Absolutely, and I think it will mega cool. I think I just have to watch my team. Some people haven't been in Vegas, and you can do a lot of things in Vegas, but the mechanics and the engineers should be working. So I think we have to put them on a short leash there, otherwise they get distracted too much. But in general, I mean, going to Las Vegas, who would have ever dreamt 5 years ago that one day Formula One cars will go down on the strip on closed roads racing? I think just thinking on this thing, this is cool things. But you almost cannot bring them up. When they happen, it's just like, this is really happening. Because it's just like something maybe 5 years I would never have even dreamt of it will happen.
You'll have to go check out a Vegas Golden Knights hockey game. They just won the Stanley Cup. That city will be partying for another year, at least with that season. So if it lines up, get to a hockey game, Geunther, because it'll be really fun. And, now you're half American, right? So you've got some hockey in your blood.
Yeah, I've got some hockey in my blood. I played when I was a kid because I come from the cold part of Italy. I played hockey. And actually, when I was in Canada, we did an event with the Montreal Canadiens. I don't know if they're your favorite team or not, but I think yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I know that was poking you. I know where you're sitting. So I quite like them, by the way. But I like the other ones as well. No, I had very good fun because I wasn't on skate in hockey gear for a long time, and I had my daughter with me, and we had good fun with them. So it was great what they put on for me in Canada.
What kind of hockey player were you? Goal scorer, physicality, goaltender? What was your role?
Goaltender.
Oh.
And I had the full goaltender gear on when I was with the Canadians, So, it has changed since I played last. The technology has moved on in hockey as well.
Well, we'll have to dig up some photos of that.
No, sorry. I got to ask one more, Geunther. We have a saying here. I don't know if this translates over. Goalies are always a little
Weird.
a little weird, a little off. Is that a fair thing to say about you? Are you a little off kilter, Geunther?
I wouldn't say I'm completely normal. Let's put it this way,
Absolutely a fan favorite. We'll say that. Geunther, appreciate you jumping on with us today. So great to catch up. Best of luck with the rest of the season and this race in general. I know it's a special one for you and your team, and we're looking forward to following it for the rest of the year.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me. It's all the best.
Anytime. Thanks so much. Guenther Steiner, team principal of Haas Formula One team and an author of his new book, Driving to Survive. You can check that out anywhere you get your books. It's already a New York Times bestseller, so if you've missed it, get on it. It was published about a month and a half ago, and it is a great insight into behind the scenes of last year's season. It is called Surviving to Drive, so check that out.